Welcome back to Briggs on Books, our international talk show where we talk to authors from all over the world about their books, their ideas, their processes. How in the world do you even get a book published? There's so many of us out there just trying to get our first book out there. And I'd like to bring on authors who have done it, who have set out to publish a book and got the book published. Our next guest, Christina Fanelli, she's done it over and over and over again. Welcome, Christina.
Hi, how are you?
How many books do you have out?
I currently have 8, and I'm working on number 9 at this time.
Number 9 at this time. I'm just going to put up, first of all, tell our viewers where you are.
I'm in upstate New York. It's kind of like the borderline of Pennsylvania, Pine City, New York.
That's nice. That's nice. And we're going to come to a book that I want to ask you about in a couple minutes. We're going to come to it later, though. Tourist New York, USA. We'll come back to that. But first, let's get to your latest books or your latest series. And they're about, you and I were kind of going back and forth how you even pronounce it, but it's Czaritan.
Yep, I call that Zaratan.
Okay. And that's the old word for the country of China. Is that right?
No, actually, Zaratan is one that is to basically show some kind of totalitarianism, like a czar.
Okay. Oh, it almost has that word there.
One that is an ancient China word. They used to call it Cathay back in the 1800s instead of China.
Okay. And tell us about, I see now the word czar in that word, like Zaratan.
Yeah,
tell us about that book.
So that book is kind of about my main character. Her name is Tracy. She is actually a journalist who works for her husband, who owns kind of like a newspaper, international newspaper that's online. And he is a very far right person politically on purpose because I use him to kind of instigate conversations. But she goes ahead and writes whatever she wants to write about, and she comes across a little girl who takes her to an underground world. And this underground world, as she's researching it, she finds out there's a czar.
Nice. Now,
and it's in the United States, so it kind of gives you another perspective on where things are or could go.
And what's the genre?
The genre on that one is science fiction, but it's also got some little political in there. There's a little fantasy in there. There's a lot of fiction.
A lot in there. Now, this other book cover almost looked the same.
They are, because they're a series. It's
okay.
The same journalist in it. She's just investigating something else.
And I guess this is the second book now. Do I have them in order?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
The second one is the Cathay Combat, which it kind of has a different, interesting look. When people think about the COVID, they think about, the illnesses and, well, I happen to, at the time, also work in a healthcare setting, but in a different perspective of it. So Tracy happens to come across the COVID like everybody else, and and some of the characters from the first one roll over with her on it. But one of the main characters also goes into working in the same healthcare setting I was, which is facilities. So you get a different perspective on COVID in the healthcare for facilities, but there's also some little twists in there. She starts doing the research on China and what its background is and how it became what it is, and it all comes back to how COVID started there, and that's what intrigues her to investigate it more. So it gets a little political,
yeah.
But her husband pokes at her about a lot of things to instigate her, and she's not very shy with him.
It sounds like a timely book, a great time for that to come out.
Yes. She's got 2 more projects she's still going to do that are working on in the series. I've got 2 more planned for her.
And by the way, right before we came on the air, I typed in your name, and all these books came up. So I guess that's one place that the viewers can get these books.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they're available on Amazon, but they are available at Barnes and Nobles, all kinds of stores like that. Yeah. Kindle.
And now, your web address I typed in yesterday because you sent me this web address. I thought, she must have got that wrong. I'm going to test it out. But no, that is your web address. It's on the screen. It's at ChristinaFanelli.carrd.co.
Yep.
Okay. It is correct. And also, we have your Instagram there. Now, let me ask you about, by the way, your background is fascinating. You've done a lot. kind of as a single parent, from getting educated, getting more education, getting a kid educated. What can you tell us about yourself?
Well, I grew up with epilepsy, which was a very challenging thing, and many times was told things that you shouldn't do, wouldn't be able to do, would never be able to overcome. I overcame all of them. I was not supposed to have kids. I had two. I was a single mom. I wasn't supposed to go on to school. I would graduate high school. I had 4 college diplomas. Was a single mom, and I have two very successful children. So I guess I've always been one that if you told me I couldn't, I'd prove you wrong.
Yeah, I tell people who complain about their life and how hard it is, I'm going to tell them, go look up Christina Fanelli. She did it. She overcame it. She worked around it and got it done. So I'm very proud of you. Let's go now to, we can't go over all your books, but let's go over a couple of them. This one, Tourist, New York.
Yeah, that was actually my first one I wrote. It's actually I was doing ghostwriting at that time. 3 of those books are ghostwriting. That's the one for New York. It just gives you all the different places to visit if you came to New York. Mm-hmm. And then if you see the knitting one, first, that's my hobby. I do it on the side in the wintertime when there's really nothing else to do. It gives
50 things to know about knitting.
Yep. And it gives you all the helpful hints. And if you get bored, my dog is in that book too, because I used him to model my clothes. Yeah. Anything I made.
How about Steps Forward?
Steps Forward is one that I wrote about epilepsy, which I have, but I wrote it so that anybody that, say, is a parent of a child that has it, or just knows somebody that has it, or even if you are one that has it and just don't want to feel alone, it goes into the depths of what a life is with it, and it gives experiences of when I started at like a 4-year-old perspective and gave examples of what it is to have them and how you deal with it, how your train of thought is different than others, and what the seizures feel like, and she goes through a surgery and everything in there. Yeah. So it's very helpful to a parent that wants to know why my kid is acting this way or why do they do this. It's great for them.
And now
I did it to the epilepsy foundations and support groups.
By the way, speaking of all that, your website is there. What would our viewers find at your website?
The website is split up into categories. I have nonfiction books and fiction books in there. And there's also a page of, I think, like 20 different places that you can purchase the books.
Nice.
And you can get like a history review of each of the books, see the covers of them, a little background about me, and sign up to be on my email or ask any questions of any of the books that you're interested in. And if you're interested, I can send you previews of what the next book is going to be.
Nice. And by the way, what a diverse bunch of books you have. I think you enjoy that, writing different books. Tell us about the next one.
Well, currently, might seem a little strange, but I'm reading about an area that I grew up in. There's a lot of history here about, I guess it kind of sounds stupid, but anyways, it's about the ghosts and mansions around here that have had histories of secrets and deaths, and like there's cemeteries that were moved, the headstones were moved, but the bodies weren't, and then places were built on them. So there's scary stories about things that have happened in them areas and colleges around here that have had ghosts. And it's just one of those things I just thought it'd be really interesting to put it all together on one book and let people that like to chase ghosts read about it.
Wow. That's diverse. Again, it's diverse. How fun. You're having such a fun time. I could tell you are. Now, by the way, history. For our viewers, there's so many books we can't even get to them, but go to Christina's website, look her up, pick a book, order the book. Don't order one. I always order like 5. If I ever get a book, I order 5 of them because I want everybody around me to be reading the same thing I'm reading. So anyway, Christina, we're way past time. You're just too interesting. Any last thoughts for our viewers?
No, I mean, if you have any questions or like to leave any reviews, I'm free, so help yourself.
Yeah. Thank you, Christina, for coming on the show. Hopefully we'll have you back again and again and again. You're a very amazing person. And for our viewers, don't go anywhere because we're going to have another author right after this.